Do you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share with us? Send us an email with your story for a chance of it being featured on Weird World. Ancient lakes can be the home of strange phenomena, and one Weird World viewer has reported on unexplained occurrences around his local lake park. Another is Crater Lake in the south-central region of Oregon. The deepest lake in North America, Crater Lake has at its centre the formerly volcanic crater now known as Wizard Island and is surrounded by forest. Visitors to the location have reported enchanted voices which lure people into the forest, then to go missing, while others have spoken of a strong, sometimes self-destructive pull towards the water. There are other accounts of strangely sinister forces. For example, Mrs. Mattie Hatcher recalled one day when, as a young person, she and some friends were touring the lake in a rowboat. She and others in the boat looked over the side and saw an enormous creature swimming underneath the boat, deep down in the lake. In May of 2002, she described it to a reporter for the Fort Myers News Star as a monster of at least a block long and with the appearance of a dragon. Terrified by what they had seen, Hatcher and her friends quickly rowed to shore, where they warned people about the massive creature living in the chilly depths of Crater Lake. No one believed them, although there seemed to have been other sightings since then, of up to 3 such creatures at a time. It has been reported by Crater Lake rangers that they often see campfires burning on Wizard Island, but when they boat out to investigate, find no sign of campers, no whiff of smoke, or even scorch marks on the ground. One evening, a ranger was patrolling the roads below when she saw 10 people grouped around a roaring fire, camping illegally in the forest far away from the designated camping ground. The ranger parked her car and walked into the woods to confront the illegal campers, but when she reached the site, found no people and no campfire. Concerned by the campers' deception, the ranger called for backup. Then she and her partner searched extensively, but still couldn't find any sign of the blazing campfire or 10 campers she had seen just moments before. When they spoke to the other rangers about their mystifying experience, they learned that the spot where the first ranger had seen the phantom campers was the location of an old Park Service campground, and that before Crater Lake became a national park, the Klamath Native Americans had used it as a sometime hunting and berry-picking camp. Another unexplained phenomenon is a massive floating log known as the Old Man. Although sounding fairly innocuous, this ancient tree is 35 feet tall and has defied the laws of physics for well over a century. It is propped vertically in the water and has been floating around the lake since at least 1896, scudding along as far as 4 miles in a single day. Rangers now say that they don't like to mess with the greyish-white, almost bone-like stub bobbing in the vast expanse of icy blue water. In 1988, a group of submarine explorers were concerned that the speeding log might damage their vessel. They harnessed the Old Man and towed him towards the shore, but as soon as the tree was tethered, the sky darkened, threatening a storm, with howling winds, rough waves forming white caps on the surface, and a current stirring. The scientists then released the Old Man, and within minutes the weather had miraculously calmed. In 1974, 19-year-old Charles McCulloch visited Crater Lake for an extended photography and hiking trip. The keen photographer was unprepared for wilderness hiking and had told his friends that if he had not contacted them by February 1st to report him as missing. When Charles failed to call his friends, they filed a missing person report and immediately an extensive air and ground search started. No clues as to Charles' disappearance were uncovered until a year later, when 2 hikers took a wrong turn and found themselves in a remote canyon where they stumbled upon an old torn backpack in a place called Baby Creek. The park rangers were called in, and one of the seasonal workers remembered the description of Charles' backpack. A further search in that area uncovered Charles' minimal remains the very next day. They were described as bizarre, with his foot bones in the socks, but the rest of his body simply gone, as if he had just melted away. One online viewer described working at Crater Lake in the lodge as a cook. When preparing food some nights downstairs in the basement prep kitchen, the staff witnessed strange things occurring that they definitely agreed were otherworldly. Spices would fly off the shelves and crash into a wall across the room, then drop to the ground. There were unexplained shadows around corners, but the most unnerving phenomenon was becoming emotional for no reason and always feeling sad in particular areas of the hotel. Weird World viewer James has reported on strange experiences in his old suburb where there is a park with a lake which also has an island in the middle. He had realised since he was 12 that there is something unique about the park, which is in Fairfax, Virginia. He also remembers local legends about characters such as Bunnyman and Scary Harry, and hearing the howling of wolves by the railroad tracks when there were none in the area. Now in his early 40s, he visits the park for exercise and started taking pictures of some intriguing rock piles and teepee structures there, ranging from 7 inches to 30 feet in height. One day he decided to leave a little gift attached to a small structure, coincidentally a Crater Lake quarter, which he thought would be appropriate. He then walked back onto the main path where he looked down and saw an old stuffed doll looking up at him, which he thought was cute until he realised that it was a stuffed effigy of himself. The skin, the clothes, the style of glasses he happened to be wearing that day, and strangest of all, the hairstyle. It appeared to be crudely cut short, just as he had shaved his hair down to 1/2 inch at the time. Feeling quite creeped out by this discovery, he didn't dare pick it up, but took a photograph and left the area. James' next trip there was a month or 2 later on a foggy, wet morning. He had taken his black and white golf umbrella with him. As he walked out of the parking lot, he nodded hello to the locals walking in the opposite direction, clockwise around the lake, taking note of their expressions, appearance, and greetings. He noticed one diminutive woman wearing a flannel shirt and jeans who walked past him without a word and thought to himself, probably just wanting some me time. He then made it to the path on top of the soggy dam, and bizarrely, there she was again in a totally different location along a walking path of nearly 5 miles long. Probably aware that doppelgangers do not speak or interact, he didn't dare to ask her anything. James kept walking, thinking that he needed to get to his job at noon, then felt a crack as an acorn hit him on the head from above. He looked straight up to see a treeless landscape for 50 feet in every direction, and definitely no one in the bushes. Thinking it weird, he suddenly realised that he no longer had his new umbrella and turned around scanning the area. Remembering that he had it in his hand at the dam, he returned there without seeing anyone and instinctively knew that it was in a creepy section that he sensed as a child, to the left next to the water. He went in, and after 5 to 10 minutes, there was his umbrella on the ground in the bushes, 50 feet from any path. Again, thinking it strange, he decided to follow where the umbrella was pointing. He bushwhacked his way through the summer foliage and undergrowth for about 300 feet, then stopped and looked around, only to realise that he was dead centre in a herd of deer, and they were not even acknowledging him. Just another day at the lake park where James has repeatedly seen and heard unusual things.